Yeah, and you can see we're into champs like now the Callista is the first ban there for the Direwolves. Sudden Fear do ban that Twist of Fate. We've seen that every single time pretty much when Perfection's in the game. And Chippy's, the man of many hats, is going to be in the bottom lane this time as an AD carry.
Yeah, so they've got Chippy's there. Apparently can play absolutely everything, so not a surprise, I guess, to see him in this role. We do see the Twisted Fate ban, another targeted ban against Perfection as expected. The one time it wasn't banned, he won the game with it.
He did. He wreaked havoc there in that game. So Alistar banned away. Echo going to see bans there as well. Just some fairly standard bans, Rusty.
Yeah, very standard so far. Of course, the Alistar, the Echo, very strong. One in the support, one in the pretty much any lane that he would ever want to play in the Echo. So just getting rid of the safe picks. The most important thing, of course, Direwolves being that first pick can opt into banning targeted more so and get the very strong first pick in their favor.
Yeah, so the banned away fairly common champions. Rek'Sai going to join in there as well, so sticking to the same pattern. Might open up a first pick Gragas here for Sybil. We've seen him play Zac and some other oddball jungle champions here as well, but let's open a Sudden Fear consider their last ban.
Yeah, keeping in mind with the one ban remaining, Fizz and Rise are both still on the table, so we'll see if they want to target one of them. If they want to target neither of them and leave both available, there is still a lot of options for Sudden Fear to take, and they want Jinx gone.
Yeah, Jinx actually taken away there. So a strong AD carry, I have to say, but kind of a weird ban. We usually see teams able to deal with it here.
Well,
in the first...
I mean, it's weird because Chippies is playing as well, so targeting Chippies with a Jinx ban, a very unique pick.
Well, Sivir is going to be the first pick. You have to think you're coming in playing as a substitute AD carry. Sivir's probably a pretty safe pick.
It's always going to be very easy to play Sivir, of course, irrespective of win or lose in the lane. You can just press that ultimate. You've got the spell shield to still be relevant as you start scaling to the later stages, and you're just very competent at pushing down turrets.
Yeah, we see now Sudden Fear considering their next few picks. What do they want to go for here? 30 seconds, they've got a lot open here, like we've said. Can take Gragas away, the other big-name jungler still hurting around, but lots of other strong picks. Nautilus especially the other one that comes to mind, or maybe even that man there, Nunu.
Yeah, of course, the Gragas available, so not necessarily needing the Nunu indefinitely, but it does play to the Sudden Fear team comp that we have seen from them a couple times. Working around that Nunu, having the Caitlyn even with it, and even sometimes the Janna as the support. So they do like that fast-pushing team comp. We've seen it from the twice already. It wouldn't be a surprise if they lock in.
Well, there's the Nunu Caitlyn, so Prophet Rusty going to get in there for at least the first two picks. Yeah. I mean, there's still Caitlyn available. They can pick it in this comp, given that there's a Sivir. We've seen Shini's Caitlyn was a champion he started to carry on. I kind of like their composition, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a lot of success from them, of course. They didn't translate all of them into victories, but they still make that team comp work, and that is a big factor because if they do execute the team comp again, it involves a lot of early pushing, a lot of early objective control. They find themselves with a lead, and this team, Sudden Fear, very good at playing early with a lead and translating that.
Yeah, they are, and important to note, Shiny Sivir also getting taken away, so lots of elements here to the early stages of the draft. The Direwolves, though, 20 seconds to consider their next two picks here. Got a lot of Perfection champions open. He usually eats 2 to 3 bans in a game, so he's going to feel a bit more freed in this game.
Yeah, only the Twisted Fate band, of course. He's got many fallback champions right now. The Azir, the Kassadin. He could even go overboard and go the Varus and the Vladimir again. Very safe, very diverse champion pool, but only the one focus.
Yeah, and he is going to go, they are going to go, sorry, for Azir and Gragas, so taking away that strong jungler. I guess Nunu on the side there for Sudden Fear means that not really it's a big takeaway, but Perfection is going to be on the Azir. You have to think with Chippies playing as a sub here for AD carry, with King absent for this evening, he's going to need to have a big carry game.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen a lot of Azir out of Perfection, or a lot of attempted times to get Azir, basically. He does prioritize that champion. Gragas to lock in with that Azir. A very strong early game pressure. Of course, they went for Nunu first, as you can see. We're not necessarily concerned about the Gragas Sudden Fear, but the early pressure that can come out of Sybil, if he can get some ganks off and get the rest of his team rolling, could maybe completely negate the comp that Sudden Fear are already trying to do.
And certainly that's Sybil's just general thing as a jungler. He likes to gank the lanes. King's not here, so he does sometimes like to gank the bottom lane, but Perfection sees a lot of attention in the mid and even Sharp in top as well.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of attention going onto those members. Sharp being the new player to the top lane, of course, being the previous mid player for Direwolves. Rightly so, receiving a lot of attention, maybe trying to capitalize on the fact that he's not as experienced in that lane.
Well, we are going to see Jace once again for Christmas Tree, so that's the champion he actually came back and started playing on and won on, so a cool champion there. And Shiny is going to go back to the Caitlyn. Sudden Fear have a lot of winning elements from their last upset win.
Definitely looking for that fast push, looking for that siege and poke around the Jace, of course. Maybe the mid-game Jace getting the Caitlyn through that early trough, but they've got themselves a very different comp. They don't have a legitimate one spike point. They've got multiple on different members of the team.
Yeah, I've heard this one described as like a bridging comp where you have your early game strength, your mid game strength in Jace, and you sort of use that to bridge the late game power with someone like Caitlyn.
Yeah, if the Jace manages to get ahead or at least even in lane, has that massive power spike with the item buys, can get the Caitlyn through that big trough and make it super strong later on. But of course, you need to have the Jace being in a position where he is ahead or is not behind. When a Jace falls behind, he tends to struggle.
Yeah, and we saw Christmas Trees was able to do well. His jungler came. He actually got nicely ahead of Cheese. They kind of really stuck it to him in the lane. You have to think players like to gank Perfection in general. Probably going to see a lot of attention, but the Dials finish off their composition. Rise and Bud both get through as the last picks.
Rise in the last rotation for the Direwolves here. You did not expect that one to not be considered until later, but you can see that Sudden Fear definitely have their team comp set in stone, irrespective of what the Direwolves are going to go for in this draft. So in saying that, it's not a surprise that they got in the last rotation, not necessarily prioritizing it over the Azir and the Gragas, but they wanted to save the Rise, save the Bard for more of a counter pick option against Sudden Fear to really see that they have put that team comp into effect. And now Direwolves have presented themselves with a comp that can essentially outscale what is here for Sudden Fear.
And I think there's lots of outplay potential here as well. I like Nada being on a champion like Bard. He's a big Thresh player. We saw his Alistar. He's a little rusty, I think, to competitive. It's been a while since he's competed, but still has killer instinct, still a champion here in Oceania from 2014. Any good support player will get a lot of mileage out of Bard.
Yeah, and definitely still a big playmaker, Nada. We did see a lot of attempts of that in the last game, so Bard will suit him perfectly, can disappear from his lane. This might play perfectly into the hands of Chippies even on that Sivir, getting the solo lane with Bard disappearing. If Sudden Fear look to put that lane swap into effect with the Nunu Caitlyn Janna comp, which is very common of them to do, then you've got the Bard who can just perfectly cater to that around his unique playstyle.
Yeah, you can see the last pick there as well. Robo Sansa back on Maokai, of course. No real surprises there. Sudden Fear, they're pretty much just like, yeah, I guess we'll take the last comp we won with.
Yeah, exactly. They've got the team comp that they wanted. They've got the team comp that they have found success with. So again, a very strong team from these guys. They should be able to make it work because we've seen it in the past. But up against this Direwolves lineup, it presents a lot of issues individually and as a team.
Yeah, and I think it's curious to see what the Direwolves do. Again, they're down another player. Chippies back as a substitute, this time in another different role coming through. Chippies, pretty cool guy. They're able to play multiple positions. Perfection's Azir, though, we've seen it. We've seen his mechanics in general was lacking when they last played this week against the Chiefs, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. It was a little bit lacking. It was just not all there, unfortunately. But of course, the rest of the side, Chippy should be able to do his job at the very least on that Sivir also. So the jack of all trades on a very competent AD carry. He's got Nada to back him up. You can never be safe. I'd never be not safe with Nada on your team. He always just makes you feel very comfortable and very at home.
He does, and I think Dials know in this situation, bottom lane's very solid, lots of playmaking from their support, lots of utility from their AD carry. They're going to be relying on the top side of that. Perfection, Sybil, and Sharp all need to get things going.
That's right, and what we were saying in the pregame is how Direwolves tend to rely more on their bottom half of the map when they've got that Perfection Kim combo and kind of just let Sharp play his part with the teleports. But now that they've got Chippies in that AD role, they swapped out and they've got Nada also. It presents a different play style essentially from this Direwolves comp where they may default back to what has worked for them in the past and then they'll go for that more of a top-oriented team.
Yep, going to be a little different here, but of course you can see the team comps on your screen. Get on Twitter and let us know who you think's going to win this match with DW win for the Dials or SF win for Sudden Fear.
Yeah, that's right. And we've seen a lot of very strong team comps from Sudden Fear. One thing they are very good at is drafting to their strengths. That's exactly what they've done again in this game. But you do have to question Pastry Time whether they're going to get outscaled.
It's execution as well. That's the other thing. I mean, let's start with the other side, though. Outscaling. I look across at Dials. I see Rise. I see Azir. I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, most definitely will find themselves potentially getting outscaled, keeping in mind, of course, the Sivir compared to the Caitlyn. Once they hit that big late game spike, the range advantage that a Caitlyn has, always a big factor when it comes to late game team fighting. In saying that, the Sivir can work with the rest of the team, give the Azir some move speed, the Rise some move speed, even the Gragas and the Bard to run at the side of Sudden Fear and really just take it to them as a team of 5. So when you look at outscaling across the board, Direwolves have it, but not by a massive amount.
I think as well, just as far as this matchup goes, based on the picks as well, you kind of look at the carries of this team and you think, okay, for Sudden Fear, definitely Shani. On the late game, carrying Caitlyn has to get a lot of fun to get there. Can do well in the early game, but realistically is going to need to wait for a big payoff. Perfection, though, he's always been the big carry of this team. I think, especially with Shuffer leaving, King is stepping up, but I think Perfection's still been the primary carry for mid lane, and he has to have a massive game here with King absent.
Yeah, Perfection's still the primary carry of that side, and we've said it a million times, since Direwolves have changed that to actually having Perfection in the mid lane from the top lane, he's had to step up a lot more as that mid lane role, and that means forcing himself to make weird plays that he doesn't normally make, pushing him out of his comfort zone, which is a very difficult thing for him to do sometimes. But if they can make it work, if they can get around Perfection and let him carry them through, he'll be unstoppable.
He will indeed. Well, we'll have to see if they can get it done. Let's pop onto the casting desk with Atlas and Spawn and get us into the game.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time, and welcome to the Caster Desk, ladies and gentlemen. I'm, of course, Max Atlas Anderson. This is Jake Spawn Tiberian. We're ready to get onto the Rift for Sudden Fear versus Direwolves, and Sudden Fear probably licking their lips thinking, oh, King, massive carry for the side, not on this lineup. Maybe we can pick up another win.
Yeah, exactly right, especially because their carry is down in the bottom lane. Look for Shiny to really start getting going. Partu to roam around the map, try and make things happen. I know that you love how playmaking the bottom laner for Sudden Fear is, and you've got it exactly right. They've got Chippies down there. He's a very solid player. I actually love watching Chippies play League of Legends. I think that he's one of the smarter players, able to fill many roles on the teams, but AD carry, that's something that not many lanes can translate well to, and we'll have to see whether he's up to the challenge.
Well, he actually fit into that bottom lane role very well. Of course, the first game that he played in the support position on that Alistair, managing to come up with a victory against
support.
Immunity.
You're pretty much a top laner without items right now. You just get in there, play a tank. He was on Alistair. He was having the time of his life. He was like, why don't I do this more often? I can't die.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're in a lane swap situation. That's about the amount of gold that I've got. Let's just put our mindset there and we're good to go.
Yeah, exactly right. So, and you look down the rest of the lineup, Sudden Fear definitely in with a shot. They would have been riding that hype train from the base race win that they were able to secure Monday night. And Direwolves, they're in dire needs of a win because, looking at 6-5, if they drop to 6-6 week, get 2 losses in a row, that's just not going to be acceptable for their playoff campaign.
Yeah, it's true. And this 4th position, very important as far as not
getting it.
Yeah, not getting it because you want to be in 2nd or 3rd heading into the semis because Chiefs looking pretty unstoppable at the moment at 11-0, and you don't want to grab them in the first match.
Yeah, you know what? You're exactly right. The way the Chiefs are currently playing, 4th is nearly 5th because you're going to nearly be looking at one of those quick exits, but upsets happen all the time. Direwolves need to look towards where they can get 2nd or 3rd, and if they can't, just bring their best towards the playoffs.
Yeah, they're very close to Avant-Garde if they don't manage to, but we are going to get onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited to bring you Sudden Fear versus the Direwolves. Today, it is going to be Direwolves on the blue side for this rematch of the previous Direwolves Sudden Fear game. Direwolves coming out ahead in that one, I believe, considering the fact that Sudden Fear were on 0 wins for quite some time.
Yeah, pretty safe bet there. So it wasn't on Monday night.
No, most definitely wasn't. Oh, Sapling going to spot out the entire team of the Direwolves here as we do have some grouping very early on here, Sport.
Yeah, so one thing I will point out is since Sudden Fear got their full lineup back in, Chris back in the mid lane, able to take over from Chenny Boy, who were very solid in a couple of games coming through. They've looked very comfortable as an outfit, and Chris, especially on Jace, has been a good mid laner, so we'll have to see whether that trend continues. There's some deep vision coming through from RoboSanta, just a ward and a sapling. Good control of the top side of the map.
Yeah, and a lot of the sort of things that we were picking apart for Sudden Fear while they were losing all of their games throughout most of the OPL was the fact that they just didn't look like they were coordinating as a team very well. But in their last victory, the whole Sudden Fear lineup actually looked a whole lot better as a unit, as Sharp is actually going to spot RoboSanta there. Robo not going to care whatsoever.
Yeah, danger is if Robo keeps setting up saplings here, Sharp's just going to run into them. Although Chris might be able to come kill him. That's 2 saplings. That's going to be a fair amount of damage. No, it's not. Sorry, my bad.
Chris's Trees is about to possibly take some damage from Perfection.
That's really smart for Chris, actually, because, he's got the 3 biscuits because he started Longsword. Perfection's only got 2. He's also got the Kill Summoner spell there in the Ignite. So the earlier he can get Perfection down, the more pressure on Sybil to get into the mid lane and affect it.
Yeah, we've spoken about Jace's level 2 power as well, which is pretty terrifying to say the least.
I think unrivaled is a pretty good word to use when it comes to level 2. Dude has 4 abilities, all of which do massive damage.
Well, I wasn't going to go with a massive call there, but yeah, you're exactly right. Terrifying stuff, so we'll see what happens in that mid lane as level 2 is gained. Not quite there just yet, but it's going to be soon. Chris is still chugging through those potions. Perfection actually getting there first. Has the attack with the Arise. Pink Bomi just hanging around this blue buff. Sybil took away the little one.
Yeah, who got the big one there? Sybil doesn't have a buff himself, so I'm assuming a Pink Bomi got it.
Pink Bomi actually started over there by the looks of things. So I assume...
Nah, he took his Krugs at the top lane.
Did he, or did Robo?
Or did Robo? I don't know.
I'm not sure either. Some crazy things happened in the jungle.
I was just obsessed with looking at Jace, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Well, our producer would definitely be happy with that decision. So, no worries there. Chippies and Nada still just hanging out here on the bottom side of the map. Caitlyn being her annoying Caitlyn self. And is this something that Sudden Fear have sort of made sure they were going to get with against the Direwolves here? The standard laning, just because Ryze needs a solo lane?
Yeah, exactly right. Ryze definitely needs a solo lane. He does not want to be anywhere near Caitlyn in the early game. So the Direwolves were looking for that one-on-one. I'm actually surprised Sudden Fear didn't do anything further to be able to guarantee that 2v1 lane. Maybe they just value farm on Robo a little bit more than keeping Sharp down. Of course, teams have started to target Sharp out as the season's gone on, and just means that in the bottom lane, Chippy is going to be in a world of hurt, because if anything, we know that Caitlyn still beats Sivir. Even though it used to be a pseudo counterpick in Sivir's favor,
yeah,
the range just seems to be way too much nowadays.
Yeah, having a little bit of free mana from every trap that gets put down is not quite good enough in a lot of these circumstances. Pink Bomi heading back to base, and it might be a 3-buff start for this Nunu.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be the case coming here. There's no potions left on either mid laner, and you see Chris definitely got the better of that deal. Line up the Shock Blast. Good damage.
Cute little to the skies there. He's going to get a bit of damage down to Perfection, but he's very low on mana. Chris still with half of it. There's the accelerated Shock Blast. Perfection has to go home.
Yeah, he certainly does. Not able to be in that lane anymore. Looks like it's still pushing in Chris's favor as well. So that mid lane right now pretty heavily going in Sudden Fear's favor, but he's going to shove that one out, get a free shot in himself. Will be at that tier range as well, so Perfection needs to be careful. His Chippy's also really low.
Yeah, Shiny just doing Caitlyn things here on the bottom side of the map. But Jace, as he's going to go back to base and pick up that tier, does that give Perfection a little bit of respite in the mid lane?
Not really. Jace with tier is really good.
All right. Just thinking about the non-attacking stats that it provides.
Yeah, it certainly does, but you know, he's got mana regen, so he doesn't exactly have the most attacking stats himself.
That's a good point. Didn't actually notice the Forbidden Idol. So 10% cooldown reduction, which translates to a bit of attack speed.
He doesn't have cooldown reduction. That is legitimately mana regen on that item, I think.
10% cooldown reduction.
Really?
Yep. Wow. That's why Morel and Omicron are actually decent at only the components. You still get the 20% CD up. Robo Santa, though, is going down to 100 health. Is going to flash out of the raid. Barrel not going to find the Tree Man. And Dragon going to be taken very early by Sudden Fear.
Yeah, so a Pink Bomi able to use that Nunu to great effect at the start of the game. Get an objective down for yourself. I'm still in disbelief about Forbidden Idol. I want to hover there. I didn't know that. As it comes through, and you know, first Dragon, especially in a pushing comp like this, the earlier they can get towards number 3 and 4, the better off Sudden Fear are going to be. And at 5 minutes, that was a pretty early Dragon.
Yeah, we'll see.
Especially in standard lanes.
Yeah, precisely. But is this sort of just the benefit of Nunu?
Yeah, it certainly is. Nunu just has really good control over objectives. Also gets Shiny going early as Chippies. He's going to be forced back.
Yeah, that was a headshot plus the Eye of the Storm Shield. Not even able to get the mana back, because Shiny just expertly misses the Pilt over Peacemaker. Christmas trees. Accelerating something. Trying to get a Shock Blast on top of Perfection. Oh, cheeky Cannon Creep going to block away that one.
Yeah, that was really mean. Come on, Cannon.
Yeah.
Clear out.
Rude stuff. Well, Shiny continuing to get damage down to this turret. 2/3 of the health left on that one. Chippies just feels abused in his bottom.
Yeah, he certainly does. Nada takes the health shrine as well.
He's like, I'm not going back. You go back.
Now is That's a real gank potential if ever Nunu wants to come down here, and they've just been forced off so much.
Speaking of Nunu, actually ganking the top lane here, immediately gets the flash from this Rise. Robo getting a bunch of damage with that Vengeful Maelstrom. Double Doran's Ring's actually doing some work here for the Maokai.
Yeah, certainly is. Able to keep him really healthy in this lane so far. And Chippies is just, 29 to 53 CS. We actually saw King do this when he was playing with Chippies as his support player, I think. was just able to take over a game as Caitlyn and Shiny doing the same here.
Oh, Nada getting trapped! Trapped between the traps! Nice. Really attacking him face on there. Nada tries to get the stun with the Cosmic Binding, but doesn't find him. Patu just going to help try and clear out this wave. So Sudden Fear doing work in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they got a 500 gold lead just off their bottom lane CS, and you know most of that gold's going to be on Shiny right now. Would be able to go back, pick himself up the components of the Infinity Edge, and from there, the lane's only going to get harder right now for Chippies.
Yeah, if Shiny actually picks up more than just that BF sword, it'll be frightening. Whoa, Perfections takes so much damage from Chris as the Pink Bomi gets found out in the jungle here. There's some attacks from the Sand Soldiers, but the Nunu just going to blood boil himself and run away. This mid lane very even, actually.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Chris starting to get a little bit of the upper hand, you have to say here, being able to bully Perfection around, going for a blue buff steal as well. We'll see whether he's able to come up with the goods.
Actually, blue is going to be taken away here. Perfection actually locks that one down.
Yeah, and they've actually pinged out the area where the pink ward would be, but haven't bothered to check it.
No, it's just saying, yeah, we know where it is. We'll grab it when we need to. Of course, vision, not all that necessary when there's no one around.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And they secured the blue buff for themselves, able to get that over to Perfection. That's going to help him out against this Jace who's just spamming Shock Blast at him right now. And you can see, we talk about Jace's early power spike, how it circumvents a lot of the weakness that Caitlyn goes through. You've kind of got this pseudo AD carry in the mid lane that makes up for the fact that Caitlyn needs an attack speed item. Throw the fact that there's a Nunu in the game on top of that can really speed up both Jace and Caitlyn's attack speed. It's just a really well-rounded comp that comes out of Sudden Fear here. The only thing I don't like about it is Jace is really squishy and his margin for error is quite low. So if ever he falls down, it becomes a Caitlyn show. And that's just generally not enough damage with Robo up in the top lane, not playing a carry. Prefer him on things like Aurelia, things like Hecarim, really.
Yeah, it seems a bit like that. And is sort of there also a danger of the fact that there's a lot of AD damage coming out of this Sudden Fear lineup as well? Is that going to affect them in the late game?
Oh, there definitely is, right? But the thing about Caitlyn is she's so safe from range and poke from Jace. It's more about turret taking in the late game. So they don't really have to fight. They have good disengage coming out of Patu. They have really hard CC. Well, it's soft CC, but it's hard to get through it coming through from Nunu as well as a Vengeful Maelstrom to mitigate a lot of that damage. So they're just about rotating around the map, getting good vision control, chipping away at your base. And if they never fight you with a Caitlyn, with a Jace comp, and they just poke you down and take your turrets, they're 100% happy playing the game that way. It's Sudden Fear style. I know you said to me they got 10 kills last game and still managed to run away with a victory. They're a low interactive team. They draft well, and they're just trying to play the map a little bit better, not going for those skirmishes where a lot of error can happen.
Yeah, this sort of team comp is exactly what Sudden Fear likes to get into when they're on the Rift. Of course, likes to, pick up the likes of these long-range carries here for Shiny. We spoke about the fact that he was a Sivir player heading in here. Hasn't been able to get his hands on Sivir in many of these games, but seems very comfortable just to sit back and farm, make things horrible in the laning phase by the looks of things, and then get things done in the late game as far as taking down these structures are concerned. And that was a question mark that we had for Sudden Fear here. And as far as this early game is concerned, have they played it right? Because their strategic play has been lacking in the early stages of the split.
Yeah, they certainly had. The only thing that really went wrong was the fact that Robo got bullied out earlier and got forced into a double door ends. But, even that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad build to have some wave clear on you. Maokai up there in the top lane. And Ryze is that lane bully against melees especially. So you expect the lane to go a little bit further into Sharp's lane, if anything. Mid lane's been great. The pressure coming out of Chris has been really good. A Pink Bomi, we compliment him for his early game, has really kept tracks on Sybil, who likes to get his laners going, but right now is just being stalked, honestly, by a Nunu. And that's just left Caitlyn and Janna in the bottom lane doing Caitlyn and Janna things. We compliment the duo so much, but being able to effectively punish Direwolves for having Chippies in the lineup tonight has been great for Sudden Fear. So far, they're ticking the box. But the problem is, they do this a lot. Their early game is not Sudden Fear's issue. It's how they transition it into objectives and how they keep vision control. And they really need to get on both of those things, because otherwise a team that's supposed to siege, supposed to set up around these turrets, can just get collapsed on, can get flanked by things like Ryze. And from there, it's really hard to disengage if people are behind you.
Is this comp also about taking down those dragons as well? We saw the fact that, they did manage to get one very early in the game. Is this looking to be possibly their only dragon for the game, or do they have a team comp that will be able to take these ones as well?
Yeah, as long as they keep vision control, they shouldn't have a problem with it.
So maybe not, knowing Sudden Fear.
Yeah, because they've got the Nunu in there, and he's just so good at speeding up the Caitlyn, speeding up the Jace. Not to mention the fact that Jace, when he gets a couple of items, 2 AD carries, take Dragon or Baron very quickly. The problem is if you ever get flanked from Sharp,
Yep.
It's just going to mean that he's able to blow someone up. And we keep talking about how Jace can get a little bit overexploded. If he goes into hammer form ever, he's in a lot of trouble this game.
Yeah.
Because there's a displacement that can come through from Perfection as well. So they've got the keys to be able to win this one. They've drafted really well again. I like what they've done. But Direwolves, they're that experienced lineup now. Gosh, it's funny saying that. You wouldn't have said it last season.
That's
but
very true.
coming in, they've got the winning record, and we'll see whether they're able to execute a little bit better.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult. A lot of sort of high execution champions here. And I want to talk about Sybil just for a moment because Gragas has really exploded into the meta sort of from quite a while ago. But Sybil hasn't been the player to pick that one up as often.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't. He's a Rek'Sai player. And
Yeah.
they banned it away. I think he's played Rek'Sai 5 times. And
Five times.
Yeah, played Gragas. Like, it's not even on my sheet. So,
Yeah,
you know,
he's played it once,
not
if that.
much. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
So coming into the Rift, he's gone with Gragas this time. The reason I like Gragas is because he fulfills the pick role really well.
Yeah.
Because he's got that flash bodygram slam, which is kind of the same as flash on Burrow, but then he has the explosive cast. So Rek'Sai has a lot more control around objectives with Tremor Sense and the ability to get around the map much quicker because of the tunnel network. But Gragas, if he ever isolates one target, he can push them into your team, shove everyone else back, and really set up those pick scenarios. And if anything, tonight, without one of their main carries, Direwolves have to be able to execute in the 2v2, 3v3 skirmishes.
Yeah, and is this going to put a whole lot more pressure on Perfection as well in the mid lane? We talk about the Direwolves all the time as the King and Perfection show. Now it seems to me like you remove King, it's just the Perfection show.
There is no way there is more pressure on Perfection because like the dude's already like stooped, like bent over with pressure. I think the man that it puts a lot of pressure on is Sharp. They've given him a carry up there in the top lane. He normally plays Nah. He is the tank that they like to have up there. His teleports have been good of late, so we'll see whether he's able to capitalize on that. But the ability to start a fight and flank without King and Perfection really just chipping away at people. Chippy's obviously not doing the same kind of role right now. Does put a lot of pressure on Sharp up there in the top lane to be able to take advantage of Robo Santa, who, by the way, nearly leads. I think him and Jack Attack are number 1 and 2 in deaths in the top lane
They're very
right
good
now.
at dying.
Yeah, they are very good at dying. So especially if Sharp can get ahead of Robo Santa and execute during the mid game as this tanky, consistent damage, consistent CC mage, then maybe Direwolves have a good look in it around about the 25-minute mark.
Yeah, and it's actually, if we're going to talk about deaths, Sharp is only 3 behind Robo at the moment. So these both of these players very good at making the sacrificial plays.
No, I want to caveat that with Sharp had 1 game against Minky Whale, where he racked about half of those up. So if you take that 1 game out, he dies relatively limited amounts in games. And I know it sounds funny, guys. I'm being legitimate here. It was just 1 really poor performance against Minky Whale. And, you know, Minky's that guy that if you get behind in lane, he's just going to repetitively fight you. So I don't even know whether I blame Sharp for that. I blame Minky Whale more.
Yeah, Mickey was just clippity-clopping underneath that turret and taking him down. But pause is now over, ladies and gentlemen. Sudden Fear continuing to farm on this map. Shiny just hanging out here on his own in the bottom lane. And Nada and Patu actually going to meet each other here.
You do not scrap with a Bard. Look at him.
Well, actually, Patu's doing not too bad, but he is going to be able to grab himself a pink ward, is Nada.
Oh, does he have a sweeper? He does. It's on cooldown. Sad day.
Can't use it right now. Shiny just doing the Caitlyn thing here on the bottom side. Wow. Chippies decides that he doesn't want to use the spell.
It was on cooldown. That's why he used it.
That makes a little bit of sense. I actually didn't see.
Generally, if someone just fires an ultimate at you, they know whether you have your E available.
You know, he could have been looking at top lane. There was an exciting teleport going on as Sharp headed back to lane.
That is always a possibility, Atlas. You are correct.
Look, I was scrounging, I have to admit. Speaking of which, though, Sharp is going to get some alone time there on the top side of the map. 6 minions ahead of Robo as he wanders back towards that lane. So, of course, teleport advantage now available for this Maokai. They know that that dragon's up in another minute and a half, and he just didn't want to put a 5-minute timer on that dragon. Sudden Fear want to be taking that one down. First turret is going to go for Sudden Fear as Shiny just relentlessly attacks that one.
Yeah, but now they need to be able to transition that into another lane. Perfection has relatively good wave clear at this stage, although going in arm guard will set him back a fair amount. So they need to be able to get Caitlyn to shove that wage out with the Jace and this blue buff. Couldn't have been better timing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Start sieging down that mid lane turret.
Yeah, Sharp actually is going to get into a scrap here with Robo Santa as he does have the ultimate running. A bit of damage mitigation there as Robo might need to be a bit careful. Rise very strong at the moment. And Sybil's even coming around. His flash is back up again. Rune Prison comes down. tries to dodge it with the twisted advance, but that's going to be first blood going down for Sybil. Nada forced to run away. There's the Tempered Fate, nails too! But it is going to be the slow motion Ice Blast that's going to pick up the kill here for Pink Foamy.
Able to get it done there on the bottom side of the map for Sudden Fear. Top side of the map went over to the jungler. I'm sure Sharp would have loved to pick that one up for himself because he really did play the trade well. And this is something Robo has a habit of. He 1v1'd, I think it was Rosie, as we have some action in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Chippy's able to use that spell shield quite nicely, but Patu relentless with his chase down of this Sivir. Takes a lot of damage from that Peacemaker, but 300 health is what he's going to end up on.
Yeah, so I was going to say, Robo-Santa on Maokai was able to 1v1 Rosie's Rumble, I believe, and it was a real turning point for Sudden Fear. It's when they started looking a little bit more coordinated as a team, but when you're up against a Ryze that does so much consistent damage and you're a Maokai, there's not really much hope of you taking that one. A little bit of an overcommit.
And actually, they have pulled out this Dragon of Sudden Fear. Nada's trying to do some zoning work. Pink Foamy going down to about half health. The Sudden Fear are actually going to pull away from this one. Robo still not using that teleport. Has that available now as he puts pressure on the top side of the map. Pink Foamy actually, there it is. The teleport coming through. Sybil's going to back away once again. It's going to reset the flash. Body slam there is Christmas Trees. He'll have to flash away. Sybil very, very low. He's going to fall as Shiny picks up his first kill of the game. Nice Cosmic Binding onto 2 there. As Nada's going to Magical Journey himself to safety. Perfection though at 500 health. Not in fighting range, and Sudden Fear going to look to start off this Dragon yet again.
And the one thing we question Sudden Fear on is vision control. They had the 3 wards over the back of the pit. They knew exactly when Direwolves were approaching. They were able to peel away, get their teleport in, and they make the safe play. Much better performance around the first and second Dragons for Sudden Fear.
Yeah, they locked that one down at 12 minutes in as well, so that's 2 Dragons to nothing. They're on a decent clip to making it towards that 5th Dragon at a reasonable time.
Yeah, they certainly is, and you know it's number 3 and 4 that's important for this push comp. As Nada's back gets stopped, but they're going to be able to march in and should be able to siege up this turret relatively effectively.
Oh, Christmas Tree is going to be saying that that was a bit of a gimme there as Nada just
shuffled to the left.
Yeah, shuffled to the left. I'm not entirely sure what that move was. It seemed like it was just, I don't know, Nada just with some extra skills, but just able to maneuver himself a little bit better than you'd otherwise expect.
Just at 1.
At 1 with the movement.
Yep.
Yep. Well, see whether he can keep that one up, as Robo is going to be happily clearing out.
I see what you did there.
Wave.
Pick that one up.
I don't. What did I do?
I said he was at 1 with the movement. You said see if he can keep that one up. You know?
That's fantastic.
Generally, when you have to explain it, it's not fantastic, though.
Well, no, look, I would have liked it had I understood.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Whoa! Okay, Christmas Trees. He's going to finish off his Man Immune, almost towards that Brutalizer as well, so power spikes are plenty available for this Jace, as Shiny almost has the Infinity Edge completed, not opting to finish off the boots before the Infinity Edge.
Yeah, so just going for the Infinity Edge. He has got the brown bags on his feet right now, so has a little bit of extra movement speed, but not going for that siege build, I think, is what you're getting at, Atlas.
Yeah.
As once again, Robo wants a piece of Sharp.
He's just fighting him. Not a whole lot of mana here as the Pink Foamy is able to get the Ice Blast off. Sybil's making his way in. It is going to be a 2v2, but he's completely out of mana exactly right there. There's the explosive cast. Fantastic play from
Nada's
the Direwolves jungler. And Nada just wants to cosmically bind a Pink Foamy.
Yeah, but he needs to be careful because Patu and everyone was in trail. And I love watching Nada play. He is legitimately the man that if you start getting a little bit behind, he's like, I will either solo carry this game or lose it for my team just through making plays. And you know, you can see once again, he was like, guys, I think we can fight.
Yep, just wants to get there and start something.
Do not want.
No. Well, Perfection now almost with that Morellonomicon completed. That would be a fully stacked arm guard there as he's got a little bit more AP available from that one.
Important to know that since Shiny has been trying to siege down this mid lane turret relatively ineffectively, been splitting a little bit of farm with Chris, whereas Chippy's in the bottom lane has just been eating it for breakfast, and he's back within 10 CS.
Yeah, Perfection now as well, able to clear out this minion wave very, very effectively, and that's going to put him ahead by about 12 CS as well. So the Azir that we were talking about, you know, having a little bit of trouble in the earlier stages, definitely fine.
Yeah, so this is a much better move. They move Robo into the bottom lane because he's already having trouble with the Ryze anyway, and get the Caitlyn and Janna into the top lane, see if they can bully Sharp around a little bit, fast push that turret. Because Robo, every time he tries to fight, because Sybil is there, and we said the fact that they need to get Sharp going. Sybil definitely got that memo and happy to oblige.
Yeah, actually, Sharp now having to run away from
Oh, wow.
Shiny and Patu. Shiny getting very, very excited here as there's just buttons being pressed by everyone. Not sure whether a lot of them are doing all that much. Oh my goodness! That Tempered Fate was almost the best thing ever. If only that traveled a bit quicker, Spawn.
Yeah, if only we increased the particle speed. But you can see exactly what Nada was trying to do. The idea was there. Just a little bit mistime, and in the end, it's Sharp that goes down. He was a little bit overextended, and they make him pay. Although 3 summoner spells for Sharp's life is not a bad deal.
Yeah, and there were ultimates flying everywhere. I'm not sure whether half of the skill shots hit or missed, but my goodness, there are a lot of buttons pressed.
Nada, you need to be careful as well.
Yeah, this Infinity Edge Caitlyn more than happily able to take down a lot of these turrets as Chippy's fighting Robo Santa. Tree Man just wants to get as much farm as he can. He's actually managed to close that gap.
Yeah, able to get up in CS as well. Perfection doing a much better job now. He's 16 CS up. Able to start bullying around Chris after the early spike came through.
Yeah.
And Nada.
Once again, magical journeys towards the top side, completely on his own.
Yep. He's a
No
fun
one
player.
there. Yeah. I think it's awesome though because of course not a lot of vision was available for Sudden Fear, so there could have been a lot of people. Who would know? Oh, Sudden Fear is important.
No, they had one in the bottom and one in...
Well, there could have been, another.
Well, they'd already killed Sharp, so there could have been one person there that wasn't Nada. That's
Well.
intimidating.
Hey, well, I would have been intimidated. Sudden Fear, they left. All right.
They were leaving anyway.
Well, Sybil, yep, little bit, no. Enough Gragas strokes this time, I think, as Sybil's going to be able to take down that Raptor after a cheeky smite, and that Raptor sense is going to be able to get him a ward immediately as well. Definitely some value coming out of that one. As
Yeah, something you have to point out, however, is 15 CS on a pink Bomi. He's been flying through the jungle 1-0-1, able to get in the lanes and affect some kills as well. So that's good news as both outers have gone down. It's really only Perfection and his wave clear that is stopping Sudden Fear from opening up this map.
Yeah, we've got Dragon in another 30 seconds as well. Sudden Fear looking to grab that extra movement speed. Robo Santa with his teleport available as well does have that advantage.
Oh my goodness,
Ooh.
Shiny.
Peacemaker definitely doing some work under Nada here as Direwolves do have a position around
That was
the
like
Dragon.
a melee range Peacemaker though. That was a risk, is how I'm going to phrase that.
I think Bomi able to get a ward into that little brush. Shiny definitely enjoying some red dots here on the bottom side of the map.
He's got that blood boil, and you can see with the Zeal already, he's just pretty much at his 2-item spike, which is where Caitlyn starts pulling herself out of the trough. So Shiny, good and combat ready. A whole Zeal over Chippies as well. So they need to be careful of this Caitlyn in the next fight. Make sure the Prize is getting on the back line and either taking out Chris or Shiny.
And you can see as well, Chris more than understands the fact that he has a power spike at the moment. Elixir of Wrath sitting in his back pocket as well as the Brutalizer and Mana Mune. So Sudden Fear looking to try and get a fight going if they can.
And the reason I like Elixir of Wrath is, wow, Shiny takes a serious look at that portal.
He did.
Is because of the fact that you're able to get some lifesteal back off all the AD spells you're using. Keep yourself nice and healthy in the team fight, as opposed to going through a Bloodthirster or something that really doesn't go into your build next, because he wants Last Whisper as his next item.
Oh, Tempered Fate onto Christmas trees here as the ultimate's popped. Oh, immediate flash there, but it is going to be taken. A Pink Bomi sacrificing himself. Actually, no, he's not going to die just yet. There's the exhaust onto Sharp. They want to stop this Rise from doing too much. Explosive cast brings Chris back into the team. Oh my goodness, Sudden Fear, they want to try and turn around on someone. Acceleration Gate doing some work here, but Robo Santa, he's going to get taken down. Chippies locks down that kill. That's going to be the first for Azir. There's Perfection, destroys Christmas trees, and the
Flanking Nunu.
Yeah, trying to do something. But Direwolves, they win the fight, but Sudden Fear, they take the Dragon.
Yeah, so Dragon going to be secured over there. That's number 3 for Sudden Fear. They'll probably miss out on the mid turret here. That was an incredibly close fight. Patu got a fully charged ultimate off, kept the 2 carries nice and healthy. Chris, unfortunately, was caught on the back end by Sybil's flash body slam, and actually, it looks like they might be able to successfully defend.
Yeah, well, the Trailblazer is going to help out with that AoE smite, and Shiny, with the long range and the wave clear, going to help just destroy all of these minions. That being said, the bottom lane outer turret is now under fire from Chip.
Yeah, so Chippy's trying to shove that one up as quickly as possible. Is relatively healthy. But Sivir, of course, eats through those minions. So when it's all said and done, 3 dragons to nothing and no major objective going over to the Direwolves is definitely a good thing for Sudden Fear. They keep the gold lead, and they're well and truly up in where they should be at this part of the game, just roaming around the map, taking out the structures.
Yeah, 20 minutes into the game as well, and Sudden Fear have a lead. This is something that we don't necessarily talk about when it's Sudden Fear playing the game here in the OPL. They've had a horrible run just thus far, so obviously things working out for this lineup.
You can kind of see where their troubles start because it is 20 minutes in. You see they've pushed down the turrets, and just the vision control so far of Direwolves is so much more superior off the back end of that fight. You can see that there's not any really advanced wards coming through right now. Patu needs to get those ones down. Robo, once again, in danger of being dove.
Yeah, Sharp just getting a lot of damage down.
But hasn't got much mana. That's okay.
Seems to be living his life with not much mana. As Nada trying to escape here, does Magical Journey his way away, but look at the Shock Blast damage. Tempered Fate onto everyone. Cancels the ultimate there as well, but he's going to go down. And Pink Bomi pretty happy to be in amongst all of the action now as well as he gets explosive cast into everyone.
As they're now pinging onto Chippies, who's around the back end.
Ooh, that was an optimistic accelerated Shock Blast, but I liked the idea there from Chris's Trees.
Yeah, seeing whether he can get any of the siege going now in the mid lane. This would be the last outer that they need to pick up. Chris, no blue buff, but they will shred through these turrets.
Whoa, Chippies loses half of his health from that Shock Blast as well as Sudden Fear make quick work of the outer turret. And this is what you've been saying, Spawn. They need to be getting all of these advantages, but can they put the wards down?
Yeah, so they're able to get, on the top side of the map, those 2 deep wards now with the turrets going down. Perfect position. They're also trying to get some around the dragon area that you can see Direwolves working to sweep away. But as long as you're sieging up this far in the map, you need to pick up that pink ward line that they have. There's only 1 on the map actually around Dragon. So A, they need to all go back and buy a pink ward and advance that into the jungle because right now their siege comp well and truly underway. But their vision's just continually being swept out, which means that they're shoved underneath their turrets.
Yeah, this blue buff actually up now as well. Direwolves get some vision on it. A Pink Bomi wants to start it up. It's going to be started there. Actually, Chris is moving back towards the mid lane. Interesting maneuver. Jay's able to grab it from pretty long range. So just wanted to keep his eye on perfection, make sure there's nothing funny going on.
Yeah, it looks like Chris actually doesn't want it right now. He wants to be able to go back and get a shot in before he takes the blue buff away.
Very strange. Little Sentinels are going to be taken down here by Shiny. Chippies makes short work of all of those minions as well. Looks like we are going to have a Phantom Dancer Sivir as opposed to the Static Shift. Of course, understandable. She doesn't exactly lack weight.
No, definitely doesn't. Wants a little bit more late game power coming through to Chippies. They understand that the later this game goes, the more the Rise and Perfection have of killing one of the 2 threats. And that's why 3 threat compositions just work out a little bit better right now. And have to see whether it comes down to the execution. But you can see bottom half of the map right now, Sudden Fear have 2 wards.
Yeah.
There's no one down there. But like, that's just not great.
No, they need to start getting a little bit more of this.
Minute 30 until the 4th dragon up.
Oh, there's a cute little scrying all board there put down by Shiny as Robo-Santa going to get caught up by Nada here. Sudden Fear now move the cavalry in, but I have a feeling it might be a little bit too late. Direwolves take down the outer turret in the top lane. Actually, close to evening that turret score out. Now very even in gold. 300 separates it, and that's nearly nothing here at 25 minutes into the game, approximately.
Yeah, and both teams, Direwolves and Sudden Fear, with only a minute left on Dragon number 4 for Sudden Fear, and not prioritizing vision over the area whatsoever. You can see that now Chris is going to pick up his blue buff, but Patu is in the area. Doesn't look like he has any wards though.
Yeah, it looks like Christmas Trees just wants to have that blue buff for when that dragon spawns so that he can spam out as many shock blasts as possible.
Yeah, definitely is a good idea coming in here, but they need to race towards that side of the map because right now it's even dangerous to face check to get the wards up because you don't know where any of the members of Direwolves are. You could be running into Nada or I guess Chippy's Sharp. So right now Pink Bomi, he's doing his best to sweep out the back line. But it's up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, there are so many wards for the Direwolves around this map as well. Sudden Fear moving towards the dragon area now. Only Patu not going to be spotted making his way over. And you're exactly right. Direwolves just seem to have this map a little bit more lit up than Sudden Fear do.
Yeah, so we'll have to see whether they're able to... They have control over the area just because of some pretty bad back timings coming through from Direwolves. So as the dragon started up, we'll see who is able to take this fight. Robo has a flank opportunity. only towards really mid lane. Not many other good wards coming through there, and we'll see whether they're willing to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, Shockblast still doing some work here from Christmas Trees. That Mirror Manor is actually completed now as well. Oh, there's a 3-man accelerator.
Yeah, that was
Shockblast.
really nice coming through there from Chris.
Fantastic.
His chases look great, by the way, again.
Yeah, it was very good on Monday, and now once again, picking it up twice in a row, might start drawing bans.
Yeah, it definitely is a possibility. You see that they're happy to start up the Dragon, try and get this one secured for them. It is number 4, and right now, Direwolves have to fight.
Yeah, Tempered Fate not going to find anyone here as Direwolves looking to try and engage. Robo being big in the front line, exactly what he needs to do. Shock Blast does whiff. Sudden Fear, everyone actually not quite committing to this fight just yet. Oh, it is going to be taken by a Pink Foamy once again. His smites have been on point as Partu very, very low. Immediately, though, Sharp removed from the fight. Robo very low, as is Chris Trees actually going to try and flash out of there. Monsoon is trying to get into, but Direwolves, they pick up a double kill very quickly. There's the Shock Blast as Chris super low. Shiny's going to die as well. Immediate double kill for Perfection, as everyone's dead from Sudden Fear. But once again, they get the Dragon.
But Perfection's team fight right there, able to bait them in. 3-0 and 4 now, doing a terrific job. Chippy's on the back line now as well, after a horrible laning phase, actually up in CS and 4-0 and 3. Is there anything the man can't do? And Sharp did his best Nara impression there, ran into me. Look at him, he's up there, he's in their face, he's dead. But the rest of the team, after a really good ultimate from Sybil, just able to put out the consistent damage. And Perfection with a good ulti ensures that Christmas Trees has to flash out there, and just consistent damage coming through from this Azir player in the mid lane is just way too much to handle. You can see double soldiers out there getting the auto attacks through, and Perfection picks up the kill. Chippies cleans it up.
Yeah, no worries at all. And Sivir Azir has always been a fantastic sort of AoE combo in these games of mixed damage, and Direwolves making it work out for them with their sub-80 carry.
Yeah, and you have to say right now, Chippy's being 4-0 on 3, incredibly important, because everyone's looking at Perfection, everyone's looking at Sharp, thinking this is a huge magic damage composition that you need to itemize against. But he's picked up a Last Whisper. He's a 3-item Sivir, all that AoE damage going across. If there's not Randuin's coming out soon, Chippies is in a position to be able to carry out this late game.
Yeah. It's looking very scary, but Direwolves need to work on picking up a Dragon.
Yeah, they certainly do. No Dragons at 28 minutes. Next one's going to be up at about 33. We'll see whether they're able to secure it. As a Pink Foamy goes for a wonder. He is Nunu, however.
Sort of goes where he pleases, a little bit Mundo-esque, but Direwolves with 3 men towards the top side of the map are going to be able to at least do some work towards this red buff. Pink Foamy actually a bit of pressure. Has some friends hanging over as well.
Yeah, they just saw the fact that Jace, as well as Caitlyn, coming up that lane. Wow, they're really not in the mood to take buffs today.
No.
Sudden Fear.
Not really. Just leaving it. Maybe they want to utilize their buffs around objectives as opposed to picking them up all the time.
Yeah, just for team fights. You're exactly right. That's what they used the blue buff for last time as Perfection. It's 2 levels above Chris, however, in the mid lane. So even after Chris had a pretty impressive early game, 70 CS and 2 levels, Perfection having a very impactful mid game.
Yeah, and it looks like Perfection actually going for his next needlessly large rod item. Has a book there. He might be going for a Luden's Echo, but I'd expect the Rabbit.
Yeah, maybe he's just prepping for the Void stuff as well. Wanted to get the most out of it as possible. Right now, Shark in the bottom lane, soaking up even more CS. Is going for... Ooh.
Sivir with a cheeky little Raptor smite.
Going... Wow, they just won't stop fighting. He's going for a Zhonya's Hourglass, ladies and gentlemen.
He's already got it.
No, in the top lane.
Oh, yes, he is.
So not going towards something like an Abyssal Scepter. Very mindful of the fact that there are 2 AD carries currently blowing him up. So wants to be able to get into the backliner, have a little bit more damage mitigation.
Yeah, and what is the sort of Rise build that you'd go for against a majority AD comp?
This is an actual build I like. I think that Abyssal, Void Staff, and then going Abyssal, Scepter, Void Staff, and Zhonya's Hourglass are like the 3 other items that you can couple with. Depending on who's doing the most damage at the time, depends on your build order. Rise really has to be more conscious of his positioning right now. It's not like when you could just jump onto the back line and kill someone.
Well, Robo-Santa needs to be conscious about it as well as he twisted advances onto Nada, trying to get back. Actually, the passive doing a lot of work here. A Pink Foamy with the ultimate, just channeling on through. Tempered Fate tried to do some work, but no one's dead just yet. Shock Blast does whiff as Perfection trying to get some damage down, but Direwolves don't lose anyone, but they get a fair bit of damage.
Yeah, so they're able to, I guess, try and force him off the turret. A Pink Foamy caught again.
Yeah. Prism doing some work here for the Direwolves. More shock blasts.
Massive wave in the top lane means that disengage is guaranteed. Right now, Sudden Fear, they've got 3 deep wards on the bottom side of the map. They also have sight of Sybil, who needs to be careful.
Yeah, Righteous Glory was popped. Another nice accelerated shock blast gonna hit Sybil once more, but he's pretty tanky now. It's not doing quite as much as it used to.
Yeah, so a minute up on Dragon, number 5 for Sudden Fear. Dire will have to go back, expect pots to be picked up for this fight, because if Sudden Fear able to grab it in a decisive team fight win, we'll be able to shove through a lot of these turrets. A Pink Bomi nice and tanky right now. Christmas Trees and Shiny do a heck of a lot of damage. You can see another Elixir of Wrath just picked up there by Shiny. Expect Chris to grab one himself, and this could be the fight that tells us a lot about the rest of the game.
Yeah, both of our top laners now with that teleport available. Flashes up across the board. Chippies will have his for when that dragon does come up, as well as Shiny. So everyone is going to be fully powered up. Shiny going to take down some chickens as well. Direwolves just continuing to shove up this mid lane.
We'll have to see whether they can get any good vision coming through here. You see that right now, Sudden Fear, they're grouping to try and get vision. Sharps on the top side of the map as well. Christmas Trees takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, these Sand Soldiers are really starting to hurt. Actually sold the Amp Tome looking for that Rabadon's. Only another 840 gold until Perfection's going to be there, but he's not going to have it for the next dragon fight, and that could be very important for the Direwolves.
Yeah, definitely could be telling. We'll have to see whether they lack on any damage. As a Pink Bomi, definitely not lacking on tank stats right now. Dragon available in 3 seconds. They've started up.
Yeah, Robo actually hanging out on this top side. He's able to get into this fight whenever he's needed. Nice little ward hanging out here for Sudden Fear as Pink Bomi walking around. There's on the hunt. It's been popped. Chippy's already down to half health. Is a Pink Bomi going to get caught in the Tempered Fate? Only one, though, as Sybil is going to get knocked back by the Monsoon. So much displacement by both of these teams, but look at the Sand Soldiers doing so much work. A Pink Bomi forced to flash out. That's a 4-man accelerated shock blast. The carry
they can't get through the
Direwolves.
They honestly cannot get past these Sand Soldiers that Perfection is setting up. They've nearly chunked through the dragon. They need to go now.
Yeah, Pink Bomi needs to try and get in there, but this dragon's going down incredibly low. Oh my goodness, Chris Trees with a massive play, but he's not going to really find it. Chippy's able to take down Robo Santa as well. This Sivir is doing so much damage now with a double kill. There's the Golden Azir as Patu's going to fall as well. Shiny gets eliminated. And Direwolves just team fight too well.
And once again, Perfection on the backline, able to dive in there, take Shiny out of the fight, gets the Zhonya's this time in his face. Once again, deletes him off the map. 5-0-5, having a very impressive mid lane performance. And Chris, he went into Hammer Stance form. He tried to assassinate people, and Shiny just destroyed him.
There was a bit of a rush of blood to the head, I think, from the Sudden Fear mid laner. He got very, very excited about killing Chippies, but didn't quite make it work. Direwolves now going for this Baron. It's dying so incredibly quickly to the consistent damage of this Rise and, of course, Sivir Azir combo.
So let's take another look. They set up really well, get a good shock blast, but these Sand Soldiers in the choke points just means that no one wants to run through. Perfection doing so much damage right now. So Robo Santa, he pulls the trigger, gets through there nice and quickly. And they're going in. So that's Robo Santa. But good Cosmic Binding means that Shiny's caught out, and Chris goes Hammer form. Chippies just destroys him, and then after that, it's all really about Perfection. Sharp once again runs into Caitlyn, gets taken away, but Perfection able to get the Zhonya's in there. Gets a couple of Sand Soldiers through, and 3 Sand Soldiers versus an AD carry this late in the game means that they're probably going to die.
Yep, barrier meant that Peacemaker was unable to get the work done. In fact, still taking some damage from these Sand Soldiers, but that's a Rabadon's completed now. Another blasting one for Perfection. He's just doing so much damage.
Yeah, he certainly is, and now with Dragon, one as well as the Baron buff picked up, it's their turn to try and push into the lanes, and they're already about 10,000 gold ahead. We said that 5th Dragon was a win condition Sudden Fear were looking for. Just looks like they got so close, but now the siege is going to begin.
Yeah, Direwolves looking to try and close this one out if they can. Still with quite a few turrets to take down, but this inner, that's going to die with the Baron buff that just... The siege, a little bit more available for the Direwolves with this Civic.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're rotating into the top lane, seeing if they can get in behind Robo Santa. Now taking a much safer route, I think is fair to say.
Yep.
And they're just going to do their best to chip out every single wave. Bottom is also pushing in their favor. And you see how quickly they shred through these structures.
Well, Chippies is just so incredibly far ahead. He's like an entire BF Sword Last Whisper ahead of Shiny. That is a ludicrous amount of
For
gold.
someone that was 50 CS behind, he's had a pretty impressive game.
Most certainly has. The power drop of Caitlyn, ladies and gentlemen. Hard at work here as Christmas Trees able to clear out that minion wave. A little
But
bit
Caitlyn
dangerous.
got through her power drop. It was really just they tried to siege the Azir lane and it didn't work. They should have rotated earlier into Sharp's lane, and the game just went for slightly too long.
Nada with his banner of command is going to make sure that minion's moving fast, but here's the fight. There's the ultimate from a pink Bomi. Chippy's actually getting caught out here. Shiny locks down the kill as Sybil now right on top of him. He's able to get a lot of damage down for Perfection's here, and he does a whole lot more. Christmas Trees, oh, he's going to die. Nada wants to find the Cosmic Binding, doesn't get it, but the auto attack's there, and Sudden Fear wondering where their whole team has gone. This Bard actually doing a bunch of work, but look at the gigantic cannon creep. Hanging out, they are going to be able to break the base, and Direwolves looking super strong with Chippies in the 80 carry role.
Yeah, so they're now going to leave the base, rotate once again into the mid lane. There's still 20 seconds. Wow, 20 minions. So that's just a really big minion.
Yeah.
20 seconds until Christmas Trees is up, so they're going to be able to probably crack another inhib.
Yeah, Direwolves taking a bit of poke damage from Shiny, but he takes a whole lot more from Perfection. There's the Rune Prison, able to use his net to get out of there. Robo Santa very tanky now as Sharp did use the Zonyas. Not entirely sure why. There's a pink Bomi, he's going to come down here as well, trying to run interference as Sudden Fear defend this inhibitor turret.
Yeah, so Sharp was tanking the turret up, didn't want to die to that one, so uses his Zonia's Hourglass to keep himself nice and safe. And Robo Santa getting incredibly tanky, especially against the double magic dealers. A little bit of a different story against Chippies, who's now finished up the Bloodthirster as well. He's looking incredibly promising as this game goes on. And Patu and a pink Bomi. Wow.
Cute little spell shield there. It's going to eliminate Patu's negligible damage on this Janna.
So second shot at Dragon number 5. They've got good pushes in both lanes, so they need to shove out bottom a little bit further. Minute until that is now available. Also very good vision control of the approach. Probably their last shot at really clawing their way back into this game.
Yeah, well, see whether they can do it, of course. A massive gold lead now. 12,000 in the advantage of the Direwolves. They're just looking so strong this game. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Direwolves are a fantastic side, but I was feeling sort of bad for this squad heading in without King, one of their star players. But Chippies has really impressed me, and just the Direwolves lineup, how they've dealt with the fact that they now don't have King on the squad, they're looking so strong.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we mentioned the fact that Perfection has to have a good game. Sybil wants to go.
Sharp is going so fast. The pink Bomi gets caught by the Tempered Fate as the Direwolves, they're ignoring him. Patu's going to explode as the pink Bomi now takes up a whole bunch of his health. Direwolves are looking for someone as the Magical Journey is going to get Nada there, but no one else has the same idea as Direwolves. They're going to take down the inhibitor turret in the mid lane. Sudden Fear forced to back away and watch their structures explode.
Yeah, what did we say? A zoning Magical Journey coming through there from Nada.
Yep, I like it.
They do break the second inhibitor, and now Dragon open for them to just turn around and take.
Yeah, 10 seconds until that one's up. Massive Magical Journey for Nada. He just says, yeah, look at how much faster I went. Haha, Talisman of Ascension going to be used. To close the distance on the Dragon that isn't even there yet. And Sudden Fear, they want it.
Yeah, they certainly do. They're going in.
There's the flash. Wants to find the Rune Prison, does Sharp. Actually gets Shiny with it. Pops the ultimate for incredible damage. And that's the 80 carry already dead. Sudden Fear, no way they're getting towards this Dragon now.
Yeah, 13,000 gold. And just a really fed rise at this point of the game. Nearly 300 CS. 4-2-8. Sharp having a much better performance. Has his Void Staff, and they're going to be able to pick up their second Dragon.
Yeah, there's a few times that Rise has snuck through the draft. And this is another example of why that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, well, they normally ban it on blue side here, Direwolf. Sharp hasn't been noted as being that big Rise player, so maybe Sudden Fear just underestimated his ability to be able to pick that one up. It went down so late, and the answer to it was Maokai, which, you know, I wasn't incredibly sure about, and, you know, as the game's gone longer, Sharp just proving to be much more useful.
Yeah, and I guess Sudden Fear probably just wanted to win the game before he became relevant, but now at 40 minutes he most certainly is.
Yeah, that certainly was the plan. They were hoping to get all 5 Dragons in a row. You could see by how they were playing the early game. So the last 2 haven't exactly gone to plan for Sudden Fear, but 14,000 gold? The game is relatively late as a second Phantom Dancer looks like it's going to be built up for Chippies. If they can stall out, absorb all this farm that's being funneled into their base, stranger things have happened, like a base race against Jace, for example.
That is true. That being said, Direwolves may have studied that particular VOD and understood what Immunity may have done wrong.
They also
are going to be built.
Yeah, they have an Azir this time around, and he's really good at base racing.
Rai's actually going to help out there. Chippy's going to lock down the red buff on the opposing side. Suddenfear lose that one. Direwolves is going to be starting off this Baron, and it is... Yeah, I couldn't come up with the best word to describe how much damage was being done to that Baron.
Oh, I would have gone with dead.
Yeah, well, it's not really... Dead's sort of a 1 or 0 type option. I was going for like an explaining how much. Let's just not go into it. Here is the Direwolves with a Baron that went down very quickly. They're going to head towards the top inhibitor.
I like quickly. That describes what was happening.
Yeah, I have a feeling I got
dead
there
quickly.
Dead quickly. Yeah, good. Okay, well, Perfection might be caught out here as RoboSanta trying to lock him down. He does have the Zhonya's available though. Sharp makes his way in. Christmas Trees takes so much damage. The Sand Soldiers in here doing some work. Acceleration Gate actually going to get him to safety here as RoboSanta just wants to get out of his base. He's done with this one as he's just going to die. Perfection is godlike now. Shiny gets exhausted. All sorts of buttons being applied to him, and a Pink Bomi on the run from this Direwolves squad. Sudden Fear now with Chris Trees back might be able to get something done, but he goes into range of Sharp. That is a dangerous prospect. The final inhibitor going to fall, but look at all of these Baroned up super creeps. The Nexus falls down, and the Direwolves, they pick up the victory against Sudden Fear.
Yeah, and really well deserved. Sudden Fear made them earn it in the end. We're able to take it to them in the early game. Shiny had a great landing phase, but once again, just some stumbling around at about the 25-minute mark left the door wide open, and the Direwolves, you've got to say that they really did execute well on when they were able to get back in the game.
Yeah, maybe underestimating Chippy's Sivir play there as well. We are going to throw it out to Rusty and Pastry Time, though, for some further analysis.
Thank you very much, boys. And what a game there, Rusty. Sudden Fear, again, the same comp we saw earlier this week, looking really strong in the early game, but the Direwolves, Perfection especially, really stepping up in the late game team fights.
Sudden Fear starting strong, had all of the dragon control. They even got 4 out of the 5 dragons. But once they lost that fight around that area, it all started to crumble. Direwolves team comp coming through too strong. The way they were playing around that Azir, getting him super fed, and he just did so much work. Perfection.
And we could definitely see the scaling power on the Perfection for Azir, on the rise there as well. There was just a lot going on, but let's break down the team comp a little bit further here. So first of all, before we do that, Rusty, let's take a little bit about counter engage. So first of all, when I say that, what am I talking about?
Well, we're talking about a lot of very popular champions that can take someone engaging at you and find the opportunity to turn it around. Essentially, have a look at here, the top counter-engaged champions for support and jungle, 2 of the 5 members from the team comp that we did see of the Direwolves, of course, Nada and Sybil on those respective champions. They were the crux of that team comp and team fighting. They were the ones initiating, re-engaging, and turning fights around into positive scenarios for their side.
Yeah, so a lot of zone control there. Azir's ultimate, of course, very good at that as well. Let's take a deeper look at the Direwolves' actual team comp from the game there as well and see some of those champions that they had. You mentioned already, had the support, had the jungle, but there's a lot of cool elements here. I mean, you already see these 2 here between the support and the jungle, but even Perfection here in Azir. Honestly, Sharp to a lesser extent can just be a brick wall as well.
Yeah, so the added features that Direwolves have put into this side, besides just the core counter engage that they've got from the Gragas and Bard, they've got the On the Hunt from Sivir, a very big go button, but doesn't necessarily need to be used offensively to start a fight off. You can save that counter engage with that once you're in a much more comfortable position to actually take it to your opposition. We've got Azir as well. Azir, very good counter engage style champion that can turn around any bad situation and make it great. We saw earlier in the game using that Emperor's Divide to control zones to prevent Sudden Fear from walking into areas. And then you've got Rise, who is just a big over-brooding force that stands in the way. Is just a brick wall that throws out spells constantly. And when you've got the Sivir on the hunt complementing him, it works very well in tandem.
Yeah, the Sivir, they're really keeping mobility around these fights because, like you said, they're controlling a lot of space. They can get in and out of team fights pretty well. They can certainly make good on situations where they get ahead and can, counter-engage, but you have to get around them. That's what Sivir helps you with.
Yeah, exactly. The Sudden Fear team comp works super well early. They almost got to where they needed to be, almost got that 5th dragon, but again, the re-engage comp the Direwolves were running just did so very well.
Yeah, we have a replay as well from that big dragon fight that you mentioned there, Rusty. So before we start rolling out the tape, let's just have a look at what's going on as far as positioning ultimates. Break it down, Rusty. What's happening right now?
So first and foremost, they are at 3 dragons here, Sudden Fear. They're the ones looking for that win condition of getting the 5th dragon on the board. The 4th, of course, very important, and they're denying the first from the Direwolves. The vision, relatively in control for Sudden Fear around the Dragon area. One in the pit, one directly on top of all the Direwolves members, and this is the perfect scenario for a Jace to poke. In saying that, once we roll the clip through, you'll see the fact that all of the shock blasts with the gate don't connect, they do get dodged, and the fact they go for this Dragon fight puts them on the back foot. If we pause it just here, you can see that Sudden Fear are about to re-engage into the Direwolves lineup, but Azir has his ultimate available, perfectly able and capable of using that in a re-engaged defensive manner, forces Sudden Fear onto the back foot. So we'll roll the clip through, and you'll see Azir saving that ultimate, denying Christmas Trees and the rest of the Sudden Fear lineup that all-in re-engage that they were going for, denies that, and then they turn it around on top of the team of Sudden Fear. You can see he's getting a double kill for the Azir. Chippy's ending this fight with a triple kill for himself, and they were starting off in a very awkward situation, but one summoner spell or one ultimate is all it took to really turn it around.
Yeah, pretty complicated team fight there, but just really strong stuff. We're going to get a little bit more on the game. We're gonna